Crew the Legends, what is up? Please don't hip toss me off the planet. Hey, shit is shit. According to what you said, you bigger than me, so please don't hurt me. According to what you said in one of the comments, I believe you said you were about 6'2", 230. So shit, you bigger than me. Phaedrus Socrates, what's up? If I recall correctly, Garuda, you said you're about 6'2", 230. I'm about 5'9", 210. Jamal Adams, what is up? So let me go through the propers. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you, and we are live from Wakanda. You know what to do. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button. The rest will take care of itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. And Garuda Legends, you said you're 6 feet 230. Okay, yeah, you a thick dude. Oh yeah, you're about 3 inches taller than me and about 20 pounds heavier. So yeah, you a thick dude. The heaviest I've been was 225, which I was bigger, but I definitely had a belly to go with it. Uncompetitive. What is up? So I had went on a diet to try to lose the belly. So as a result, now look at this. Sick just went live. Oh well. So I'll just go ahead and follow through with this podcast, and when I'm done, then I'll join him. So anyway, for those of you that are here, thanks for coming, and definitely want to talk about the week that was in gaming, which I don't really think there was a Skyfall Gaming. What is up? Thank you for coming. I don't really think there was a whole lot going on this week. So whatever did go on this week, I will get a little bit deeper into it. Also, before I get started, Socrates, pedal to the metal. Also, before I get started, I also wanted to let everybody know that I will be joining JTech TV on his PlayStation Legion podcast again today. I think he'll probably be taking off at around 3 o'clock. I have to get in touch with him and find out the exact time, but I would say tentatively look for it at 3 o'clock. So yeah, he's got a lot of topics that he wants to talk about. So he sent me the list of things that he wants to talk about. So it should be a pretty good podcast. And so we'll start with I'm kind of slipping this in there, so it won't be very long. But Beat Saber came out with an update this past week, and it is for the Expert Plus, level. So I've tried it out, and boy, was it crazy. And so I made a stream about it. Did a gaming stream, and surprisingly, it got a lot of views. I was totally shocked. So it got about like 500 and I think it got about 512 views, which left me totally shocked, because I think the last time I did any kind of stream with that many views was when Firewall released. I know when I did the countdown to Firewall, that got like 520 some views, and then when I did the live stream that night, that got like 500 views too. So thanks for those who checked it out. I really appreciate it. And so let me go back. Monday, Apex Legends, Spartan God, what is up? Yeah, I saw that Spartan God. He went live like 5 minutes after I did, and I don't want to cut it. I don't want to cut this show short, because I appreciate those of you who did come. So I'm going to follow through with this podcast. It's going to be a little bit condensed. But once I finish with this podcast, I will head on over to the PlayStation Plus podcast. We know how Sick get down. He can make a show go on for 2, 3, 4 hours. So I'd imagine his show will still be going on once I get done. I don't have a terrible amount of subjects today, so I'll get to the meats and potatoes of these subjects, give a little bit of an afterthought, and then move on to the PlayStation podcast. So, but again, Apex Legends launched on Monday. I downloaded it and I didn't get a chance to play it until like midnight. I only played it for about 5 minutes. But what I did see of the game, I think, I had a funny feeling the game was going to do okay. For a free-to-play game, I think it had some, pretty decent graphics. As far as the gameplay mechanics goes, it did have a little bit of a Titanfall feel to it when you're not inside the mech. The weaponry sounded a little bit like Titanfall. But just for the simple fact that it was a free game, I had a feeling that the game was going to do well, and it seems to have been well received. Skyfall Gaming, have you been seeing Review Tech USA shit talking about Microsoft doing the right thing about all streaming and games going everywhere? That dude, I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting paid by Microsoft, if Microsoft throwing him a couple of coins here and there. But for the most part, what I'm starting to find out about Review Tech USA is that Ice Queen Gaming, how are you? First of all, I think he says whatever's going to get him views. I don't think he's speaking from the heart. I think he's only going to say what's getting him views. And one thing I definitely found out about, I think people like him and Young, is that when they do a video on something, the subject has usually been out. It's usually been news for a day or two. So they usually get the news. It seems to me like they normally report the news a day or two late, whereas the quartering, he's usually the one that's breaking the news. Because I got it from his video when he talked about Apex Legends. Because when he first reported on it, he said that it was supposed to be something like a free-to-play Titanfall type game, but he hadn't got all the details yet. He's the one that I saw reporting on these Activision layoffs, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But no, I mean, it's like Review Tech and Young, I really don't even watch Review Tech anymore. Especially the way he handled that Soldier Boy shit, because he was definitely one of the people that just could not let that shit go. Now that Soldier Boy shit, I don't even care about that shit no more. I think Soldier Boy pretty much played everybody. I don't see how this dude could keep every time he announces that he's coming out with something. Emmy Khan, what is up? How you been, my friend? Every time he announces that he's coming out with some kind of console, some kind of handheld or something like that, the shit seems to get shut down before it even gets sold. And then he's come back, with something else saying that he can't be stopped and all this kind of shit. So I'm up, Dark Side, what's up? I'm under the impression in the case of Soldier Boy, he's not really trying to sell anything. I think he's just trying to find a reason to stay relevant. And the YouTubers have fed into that shit, and they kept reporting on this dude. From what I'm seeing, he hasn't even sold shit yet. And, YouTubers was jumping up and down, with pitchforks and torches and shit like that and wanting him to go to jail. Now to me, they took the fucking bait. Gucci made a blackface shirt. Okay. But yeah, with Soldier Boy, they took the bait. I think he was just, trying to find a reason to be relevant and try to get his name back out there. A little bit of mango juice and ginger ale in the morning, ice cold. What we got here? So anyway, I played the Apex Legends a little bit, and as I said, I had a feeling the game was going to do. I had a feeling the game was going to do fairly good, just for the simple fact that it was free. Skyfall I agree with you, man. Yeah, hey, appreciate it. The game, I think, for a free to play game, it's got decent graphics. Um, so I think that alone was going to get people to take a look at it because, while I think in the case of PUBG and the Fortnite thing, I think Fortnite was more popular, not because the game was more fun, but because it ran better. The complaints about how Fortnite ran have been minimal, but I think, truth be told, I think they would have preferred the more realistic graphics of PUBG, even if it was some PlayStation 2 looking shit. But that game appeared to have read so terrible. Jemiah Dixon, yeah, I'm coming over to the PlayStation Plus podcast, but I started this podcast like about 5 or 10 minutes before Sick went live. And I got 9 people here right now. And I think, I should follow through with this podcast. So, I'll get through all my topics and then I'll head on over to the PlayStation Plus podcast. Because the last thing I wanted to do was bump heads with Sick. That's why I sent that message to him this morning to find out if he was awake. And I let it be known in Twitter that I was going to go live and, made that clear that I didn't want to bump heads with him. So, but I definitely appreciate those that are here, and because of that, I'm going to follow through with this podcast. I think it's the least I can do. I don't think that would be cool. Yeah, definitely. But I'll definitely head that way, Jemiah, as soon as I'm done with this podcast. I really don't have a terrible amount of notes this week, so this isn't going to be a 2 or 3 hour podcast like it was before. This podcast will probably be about an hour, maybe less, because of how much I slept this week, because of how many hours I worked. I haven't been taking notes on this week's events in gaming. So I guess I'll stick to the Apex Legends thing and not, jump over that. But more than anything, I wanted my son to try the game, and he liked it, which is cool. And this is so it's been reported that the game has 10 million users since its launch. And I actually think that's a cool thing, because this is probably the one of the few times that EA made a game, and I actually hope for the game to do good, because I wanted this game to do good, because I think that games like this, games like Fortnite, games like Apex Legends can prove that, everybody can be happy, because EA can go ahead and monetize the shit out of this game. And, and it'll be hard for anybody to get mad, because it's a free to play game. You don't have to, buy the game, and it's free to take a look at it, and then if you're playing the game on the PlayStation, it's even better, because you aren't required to have PlayStation Plus in order to play the game. So I expect the game to have massive success over on the PlayStation. What 10 million users in the game already, I'd imagine 65% of those, even 70% of those, are probably on the PlayStation. Now, I'd imagine that that's a game that probably didn't cost EA a lot of money to develop, with the engines and assets and stuff that they already have. So I'd imagine the game didn't cost much for them to put the game out. And I'm sure the game is going to do well. They're going to get their money off of microtransactions. It is what it is. This is Spartan God, this is the one time, Lincoln, I'm rooting for EA to kill Fortnite. Spartan God, I think there's room for both of them to be there, because where I'm going with this is that if Fortnite succeeds and Apex Legend fails, it'll probably kind of send a message to developers that that free-to-play games is not a flourishing market. I want Apex Legends to succeed, because it can, show that there's a market for free-to-play games, and then more developers will get on board with that and start putting out free-to-play games. And You know, and I think if not only if Apex Legends does well, who knows? I've said this last week. You could see a situation where we could get a game that's got Anthem type graphics and still be free to play. Because Anthem is an amazing looking game. You know, I'm not, you know, I won't deny that. I don't think it's the best that I've ever seen, but it's still a great looking game. You said, no, I'm tired of Fortnite gay ass dancing. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get what you're saying there, but I want the game to succeed, and I want Fortnite to continue to flourish to show that the free-to-play market, you know, that there's a lot of money to be made, and maybe we'll have a situation where it won't be $60 games all over the damn place, and then the shit is riddled with microtransactions because you want to know the truth, you know, with these. It's the third-party games that's usually got all, you know, the third-party multiplayer games. Those are the games that have all the fucking microtransactions on them. You know, Sony's games, you know, barely have any microtransactions on them. You know, the GT Sport and, you know, the Uncharted multiplayers and shit like that got a, you know, a few rinky-dink microtransactions in them. And I don't really hear people hollering about Nintendo games having microtransactions. I really don't know. But I think I was saying, you know, I said in an earlier podcast, I think that 2019 was going to be the year that developers was going to have to choose between their investors and their customers. Speaking of which, I think that's something else that we could talk about, which when I get into the Activision layoffs, I'll talk about that too, which I'm so happy to hear about the hit that they taken. You talking about somebody doing a backflip because out of these third-party games that's been riddled with microtransactions, as far as I'm concerned, over the past, you know, 2-3 years, Activision's been the worst. But they've been able to slide under the radar with that shit because EA took the bullet for them. You know, EA been taking the hit for them. You know, which is, you know, EA deserved the criticism that they were getting. But, you know, just as much should have been directed at Activision, but because of the hit that EA was taking, they was able to slide under the radar, but the shit finally caught up to them because, you know, that's one thing about, in my opinion, about American greed, that they just don't know when to stop. You know, they do egregious shit and they just don't stop until the bottom falls out of the fucking shit. So, you know, EA sounds like they getting ready to go into a tailspin right now, but so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Andrew Wilkins, you said I made up my own Fortnite dance called the Slewfoot Boogie. And Garuda, you said I hate Fortnite. It was a fun game before Battle Royale. Now we have the boring blue-headed lesbians and like Ninja getting rich off the game. Yeah. And even if people you may not like is getting rich off the game, I mean, the key element is still that it's a free-to-play game. I mean, which I think I think the quartering had alluded to that. You know, while we're on the subject of free-to-play games, I think the quartering had alluded to that. No, he didn't allude to that. An analyst had predicted that Call of Duty could become a free-to-play game in 2019. So wouldn't that be cool if, you know, the biggest games out there, wouldn't that be cool if, you know, Battlefield 5 was a free-to-play game, if Call of Duty was a free-to-play game, if Anthem was a free-to-play game? Wouldn't it be cool if all of those was a free-to-play games? Because, you know, let's face it, y'all, microtransactions ain't going anywhere. They're going to put that shit, you know, these third-party developers, you know, $60 was $60 was the cost of admission. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous to pay $60 for a game only to walk into the game and then get hit with a fuckload of microtransactions And in some of these cases, these games, you know, you needed to buy the microtransactions in order to advance or to have a level playing field. So it would be hard to be upset. It'd be hard for me to get upset if you have a game like Battlefield that's free to play. I don't even like Call of Duties, but if it was free to play, I'd fuck with it. Because I don't have to pay for the transactions. You know, and I didn't pay for the game. So in the case of Apex Legends, I don't see myself investing enough time into that game to even wonder if I'm going to need to purchase a silencer or that kind of shit, which I think will be fucked up. You know, I think the microtransactions should be cosmetic, but, you know, I'm sure they're going to find a way to work something in. You said Ninja is the prime example of many gays having mental disorders. I really don't even know anything about this Ninja person that y'all talking about. My son seems to, you know, I guess anything connected to these video games, you know, my son knows about that shit. I guess he mentioned something about some marshmallow character that's in Fortnite now, which I have no idea what that shit is about. And I never even heard of Marshmello until I saw a YouTube video doing the WWE celebrity Royal Rumble. So I don't know, but you know, it's obvious some of y'all don't like Fortnite. The game really makes no difference to me. You know, when I tried it for the simple fact that it was a free-to-play game. I've never invested any serious amount of time into the game. Therefore, I never bought any microtransactions. You know, it is what it is. Being it's a free-to-play game, it'll be there whatever. I feel like monkeying around with it for 5 minutes. The same thing with Apex Legends. Y'all know how my channel is. You know, I dedicate most of my games to, you know, most of my time to playing VR games. You know, that landscape hasn't been contaminated with microtransactions, but I think next generation, when we get bigger and better VR experiences, if more third-party developers get on board with VR, it's only a matter of time before they contaminate the shit with microtransactions. So that's the good and bad of the evolution of VR. From my standpoint, I would love to be able to get you know, games like a Killzone or a Battlefield 5 or something like that in you know, in VR. I would love to see that, but you know, the microtransactions are going to come with it. You know, it is what it is. So, and next bit of news, EA Origins possibly coming to the PS4. I really don't know a lot about that. People have been speculating whether it was going to go to the Nintendo Switch or to the PS4. I don't know. God, I don't know how that would do. Because if you bring Origins to the PlayStation, which as far as, you know, digital and physical sales, naturally EA is making most of their money off of the PS4. So if you bring Origins over there, I think you run the risk of stifling physical and digital sales if you bring Origin over there. And I think Sony has to take a look at which makes them more money, you know, physical and digital sales, or will the subscription, whatever cut they get out of the subscriptions, will, you know, it's hard for me to like try to make a. It's hard for me to say. Don't say that, Craig. That'll make Craig say AMD is better. With the Ryzen CPU. But as far as Origins coming to the PS4, I don't know. I mean, I don't think EA has a lot of games anymore. You know, they got Madden, FIFA, NHL hockey, the Battlefield series, and you know, and now Anthem. But if you take away Anthem, I only ran off about 4 games that they really have. And personally, no, I mean, in the case of EA, I would just end up just buying the game because Madden has become, you know, by now, you know, Madden, even FIFA, those two games are games they don't really do anything to the game. They just add a couple of little, you know, a couple of little tweaks in there, and they don't really make any major upgrades to the game. Um, so in the case of Madden, I didn't buy Madden this year. I think the one I just went and rented it for the weekend, and I did a live stream with Craig Harris, and that was it. I didn't have any interest in playing the game anymore after that. It's not a bad game, but it's just the same shit every year. You know, people could say that about MLB The Show, but I still think it is an amazing. I still think it's an amazing game. And even if they're just tweaks, they add a ton of tweaks to that game every year. They continue to add new animations to the game every year. They continue to add, you know, I think the franchise shit in the Diamond Dynasty. Even though I've never played those, I think they continue to add shit to that every year. But you know, the EA Origins coming to the PS4, hey, it is what it is. I mean, I mean, hey, Sony, you know, they got their numbers, so they know which one of those routes will work best for them. So I'm sure they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Therefore, it is what it is. So I don't, you know, EA Origins, me myself, I personally don't. I don't think I'll be affected by it. So let's see here. Yeah, I only got 1 or 2 more subjects to talk about, and then that's gonna be it. You know, Activision laying off. They're having a massive layoff, and the numbers could range in the hundreds. That's really, you know, I really feel bad for those employees that's about to get laid off. Hundreds of employees about to be out of a job. I think they could get laid off tomorrow or Tuesday. It was found. What's fucked up about it is they found out it through Kotaku or something like that because they did an article on it from what I'm understanding. So to have to find out through Kotaku and YouTube and shit like that they're about to get laid off, that's really fucked up. But I think that you know, again, the news came first from the quartering, and he was saying that he thinks that Activision kind of let that leak out on purpose, so it'll be a softer blow to the investors because I guess they got a um, investors meeting or conference call or whatever you want to call it coming up here in a few days. So they think it'll be, you know, it'll soften the blow to the investors when they, you know, when they come in there knowing that Activision has laid off hundreds of employees. So that'll, you know, so yeah, so they'll be prepared to take the hit. Now, according to the quartering, Activision stock has dropped about 50% over the past 4 months, meaning that they have lost out on billions of dollars, which I don't have a problem hearing that news. So, you know, and then to make it even more fucked up, they gave that new CFO, $15 million, like a $3.5 million cash signing bonus, like another $1.3 million, in targeted bonuses. And then I guess the rest of the money, they gave it to him in stocks. So how many jobs could Activision save if they didn't get that CFO all that money? How many jobs could they have saved? To me, that leaves a nasty taste in the mouth. Hearing that some dude got brought in, they gave him $15 million, and now the next move, we're about to get laid off. I'm thinking maybe that's just how business works. When they bring in some new authoritative figure and they give this person a lot of money, the first thing they do is start making cuts. I mean, it happened to me. When I got laid off, I was laid off when I started my YouTube channel, and I'd say about a month before I got laid off, they hired a new vice president. The vice president that we had at the time left the company to go start his own company. I guess a Chinese company was setting up a company, about a half hour away from where I worked, and they wanted him to run the company, so he left. And for a while, nobody was knowing if we were going to have a new vice president or not. And we finally do get a new vice president. And then about a month later, we hear about the bosses had a huge off-site meeting where they went somewhere off-site and had a huge meeting. And then rumors started floating around the plant that, some people could be getting laid off. And then I think it was Sunday night on Facebook, one of the girls that worked there third shift just got home and posted it on Facebook that she just got laid off. So I say, yeah, okay, then I know what's going to happen when I walk in the morning. I'm probably going to get laid off. And so sure enough, got there the next morning. The boss said that, case goods division was shutting down. They were laying off 45 people, and I was one of 45 people that got laid off. And so that's why in the beginning, when I first started on my YouTube channel, that I was pumping out videos left and right because I had time on my hand. I was collecting unemployment, and so I was just, I ain't gonna say I was sitting around on my ass because I was looking for a job, but it did feel good to be able to wake up whenever I felt like it. It felt good to be able to stay up as late as I wanted, though. But again, I guess that's just the way it works. I guess when a company calls themselves having to do some restructuring and they bring in a new person to do the restructuring, it's usually the employees that end up taking the hit, because they end up laying a bunch of people off. So in that aspect, I really feel bad about the employees that got laid off at Activision, but I don't feel bad that the stocks have taken a hit in this, it's down 50%. They lost billions of dollars, and then you compound that with Bungie leaving and taking Destiny with them, meaning that Call of Duty is really the only legitimate franchise that they have left. It'll be interesting to see what Activision next move is going to be. I think you said I don't like unemployment because I hate it's the Roman. The way I see it, part of the taxes that come out of my check goes towards unemployment. So the way I see it, I'm entitled to that money if I get laid off. If I get laid off, if I get fired, truth be told, I should be able to take that money with me if I quit. But because you don't like instant noodles. Hey, Guru the Legends, fortunately for me, because I used to be a person that lived check to check. And then if my car would break down, I'd have to tuck my tail between my legs and ask my brother to help me out or what have you. And so because of those situations, I had learned to start, tucking some money away for a rainy day. And so when I got laid off, the first thing that hit my head was, okay, I got enough money to last me for about 4 months. I figured I had enough money that all the bills would be paid for 4 months. And then when they told me that I could collect unemployment, I said, shit, cool. I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy myself for the next month, because once I get back to work, it could be a year or two before I finally, get vacation again. So, and sure enough, I'm just now reaching that point. I think it should kick in this week. I'm at a different pay grade, and it's supposed to add a couple of extra weeks of vacation. So I'm supposed to have 3 weeks of vacation, what have you. But so I think I'm in a decent spot right now. But I really feel bad for those that got laid off. But I'd imagine a lot of these people that got laid off probably have some kind of degree, some kind of certification. So I'm sure a lot of them will find work somewhere else. So. But Activision, no, I don't feel sorry for them at all. And I really want to see what their next move is going to be. I almost feel like I think Activision, out of desperation, is going to have to take that route that EA did with Apex Legends. I think their next game, I think there's a pretty good chance their next game is going to be a free-to-play game. Because it wouldn't cost anything for them to make a free-to-play game when you stop and look at the Call of Duty game that they've been using the same engine for God knows how long. The graphics have been the same for the most part for the past few years, so I don't think it would really cost them much to make a free-to-play game. And I think if they're going to do it, I think they need to do it now while that shit is hot, while free-to-play gaming is hot, because obviously there's money to be made. Otherwise, Apex Legends would have flopped. So I think they can still, as the saying goes, I think they can get in where they fit in. And I think they either better go ahead and turn Black Ops 4 into a free-to-play game, or they better go ahead and make their next game a free-to-play game. Truth be told, I think whatever Activision does next, whatever game they do next, if it doesn't have a campaign, I think they almost have no choice but to make the game a free-to-play game. Guru Legends, you said Apex Legends makes Call of Duty Blackout look like child's play. I agree. Like I haven't messed around with Apex Legends that much. I'm going to dabble with it here and there, but for the most part, most of my time is on VR. But like I said, I'm actually, I actually rooted for EA for once. I want this game to be successful so it can set the precedent that free-to-play games is where it's at. Spartan Guy, you said, you wonder if EA is still, you'll have to finish that comment, my brother. Going to do Battlefield 5 Battle Royale. That was a good question. That was one of the things that popped in my head because of the success of Apex Legends. But according to what they said at their conference call, in my opinion, they almost have to put the Battle Royale game. They almost have to put the Battle Royale in Battlefield 5 because the game did not meet their goals. And when they were explaining this shit to investors, they lied and said the biggest reason why the game didn't meet expectations is because of the single player and because there was no Battle Royale, which is a bunch of hogwash. But because they said that, you basically telling the investors that, okay, if we put Battle Royale in the game, that should bolster sales and, get us closer to meeting our goals. So because, in my opinion, because they use that as an excuse as to why the game has not met expectations, they almost have to put the Battle Royale into the game. And but truth be told, I think because of the success of Apex Legends, they can go ahead and put Battle Royale into Battlefield 5, but I don't think it's going to do anything to help the game. He said that Apex had, 10 million players in 3 games. That's more than, free-to-play, games, Battle Royale games ever had in 3 days. Facts. And you can't tell me that people like Activision, maybe Bethesda, shit, maybe, Ubisoft, you can't tell me that those guys aren't looking at that and wondering if they should go that route on their next game. So, oh, I know he probably did this a while ago, but looks like Fatal Mephisto's PS4 took a dump. So in closing with the Activision situation, I think in their case, their next game almost has to be free to play, especially if it's not going to have a campaign. And to me, not only do I feel like it's their only alternative, I feel like it would be the best move because, as I was saying, I'm sure that they could take the engines and assets and shit like that from the Call of Duty games and implement that into a free to play game, and it'd be a game that they could probably make a ton of money off of it, but don't have to invest a ton of money into it. So yeah, I think within the next 2 or 3 years, I think we could see a situation where every major third-party publisher may come out with some form of free-to-play game. I think the graphics might be a little bit, downgraded, but I think it'll be a situation where the games won't cost them a lot of money to make, and they could get a lot back from it. So the rewards definitely outweigh the risk, and Apex Legends I think is showing that right now. And so my last thing I want to talk about before I go ahead and shut it down, Apex has a lot of players, but Sea of Thieves just had a resurgence. What kind of resurgence? You know what? Andrew Wilkins, seriously. The general consensus is that Sea of Thieves is not that good of a game. I think it's trash. But imagine this for a second. What if Sea of Thieves would have been a free-to-play game and you did not require Xbox Live in order to play it online? How many users do you think Sea of Thieves would have had? You need Xbox Live, regardless of whether you have Game Pass or not. You need Xbox Live in order to play the shit online, because we know Microsoft locks everything behind that goddamn Xbox Live. And then if you don't, and then if you're paying for Game Pass and you paying the full $10 a month, now imagine if they'd took all that shit away and they made it a free-to-play game that does not require Xbox Live. Microsoft could have did it first. The success that Fortnite is having, the success that Apex Legend is having, Microsoft could have had that success first. If they would have put those games out there as free-to-play games and don't require you to have Xbox Live in order to play that game, those games probably would have been blown up by now. Andrew Wilkins, I'm going by what Xbox 448 said. He's always making predictions and making points about Xbox games. Only a person who's right often should do that. Spartan God, you said you just realized something. Apex is going against Fortnite, and they're going against Black Ops. Blackout, y'all notice they all have PC storefronts. I mean, if we, I mean, I'm a little bit lost. I mean, are you trying to say that they're all fighting for that PC? You know, are they all fighting for that PC crowd? I mean, what's up, Blue? You said Origins versus Epic Store versus BattleNet. Um, but out of those ones that you just missed, those ones that you just mentioned right there, Spartan God, Apex going against Fortnite, you know, EA going against Epic, and they're going against you know, Black Ops, Activision. Right now, you know, Black Ops is going to be the odd man out because the game costs $60. What's up, Mod Razi? Right, EA versus Epic versus Activision. Activision, as far as I'm concerned, is going to come out the loser because you still have to pay $60 to play, you know, Black Ops 4 on top of the, you know, googogs of microtransactions that's in the game. The games are more, you know, free to play games is more appealing. You know, when I first heard that, you know, free to play Titanfall type game, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna at least take a look at it. That has to be going through everybody's mind. Yeah, Spartan God. I was saying, you know, you just realized that Black Ops is losing to Fortnite, and now EA has a winner with Apex. And in my opinion, and I don't even think it's such a case of whether those games are like really great games. They're free to play games. So people are going to at least take a look at it. Not everybody going to jump up and spend $60 for Black Ops. Hindsight is 2020, but they should have made Black Ops a free-to-play game. Because they probably could have made more money in the long run if they would have did it that way. And I think it would have softened the blow of people, you know, buying microtransactions. People are not really screaming about the microtransactions in Fortnite. Whenever people do talk about the microtransactions, it goes away after a couple of days. Whereas EA, since they was making you pay $60 for a game and putting crazy ass microtransactions in there, that stain didn't go away for quite a while. The stain goes away real quick if the game is free to play. With that being said, as far as I'm concerned, from, you know, this day moving forward, Black Ops has no chance against Apex Legends and Fortnite. So I think in order for them to get in that fight and have a chance, they're going to have to make Black Ops a free-to-play game or come out with a free-to-play game. And you said then EA has Anthem, so they will have a single-player, always online game and a free-to-play multiplayer game. Exactly. I mean, shit. Looked like EA finally did something right. You know, Anthem isn't a bad game, but it's not my type of game. There's a lot of people that say that Anthem is nothing like Destiny, but I played enough to come to the conclusion that I think it does have some similarities to Destiny, and it's just not my type of game. Great looking game, and I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not my flavor. They're going to make more money, and if they bring Battlefield 5 Battle Royale with those huge maps, it's over. You know, damn, Spartan God. Which I do hope I really do hope they put the Battle Royale into the Battlefield 5s, because if they do make a Battle Royale where you can use the vehicles and shit, I would love that. I would definitely put a lot of time into something like that. But as far as I'm concerned, Battle Royale is basically Battle Royale games is just a what's the word I'm looking for? A fancy ass death match. You know, back in the days With a lot of first-person shooter games, you had your death match where it was everybody against everybody, and then you had your team death match, and then over time, over the years, it evolved to some capture the flag shit, command and conquer type shit. It just evolved over time. But to me, battle royale is just a fancy ass death match. You just have a circle getting smaller and smaller, which is going to tighten the battlefield over time. So, he said EA going to lead Activision reverse over last gen. I feel like Apex Legends was a borderline desperate move, but it turned out to be the right move. If they got microtransactions in that game, I'm sure they made a few bucks off of it by now. So let's talk about my last subject, and then I'll get ready to head on over to the PlayStation Plus podcast. I appreciate those of you that are still here, 13 of you still here, and I think considering that sick is going on at this very minute, I think that's pretty good. I appreciate every one of you who stuck it out here with me. I really appreciate that. So yesterday, for my last subject, yesterday I was running around paying bills, and Apex Legends was a power move and a win. Exactly. And watch Garuda, see how many people fall in line. If Apex Legends continues to grow, let's say in about a month's time, they're up to 20 million users. Right there, the alarm is going to go off on the rest of these developers, and they going to quick jump into this free-to-play shit. He said he's having technical issues right now? Okay. So, but yeah, we watching something, with Apex Legends, we might be witnessing a metamorphosis right now. And as we watch, if we watch this game and it continues to grow, the more it grows, the more it's going to get the attention of the other developers. They might be in their war rooms right now as we speak. Look, we got to hurry up and get on board. We got to find a way to cash in on this free-to-play shit, So, you seen how Lawbreakers flopped. That thing died after a month. Which hindsight is 2020. Maybe they should have made that a free-to-play game. Truth be told, they could probably resurrect Lawbreakers as a free-to-play game. It might get, they very well could do that. I think free-to-play games can be a safety valve for developers that's struggling financially. They can use the assets and that they already have on hand and quick slap something together and throw it out there for free. And if we reach a point where the market gets oversaturated with free-to-play games, those developers who would struggle, at least they didn't sink a lot of money into the game. You say Garuda Legends, Lawbreaker was just a poorly made game, which I don't doubt that, but I'm saying hindsight is 2020. It's easy to say that now because of what we're seeing with Fortnite and Apex Legends, but looking back at it, if they would have made it a free-to-play game, it probably would have stuck around for a little while. Yeah, Garuda's got a great point. Apex was a power move and a nice one too. It saved face for EA. Spartan God and Garuda is saved face for them. Apex is at the top of the food chain right now. And I think you have a battle royale game with realistic type graphics. That was my biggest turnoff about Fortnite is the cartoon looking graphics. I don't think it was a bad game, but I think if it would have had more realistic looking graphics, I would have got involved with it more. That's not saying that that's what everybody wants, but that is one of the reasons why I didn't put too much time into the game. You know, and PUBG had the realistic looking graphics, even though they was awful. It looked like some PS2 looking shit, but there was no way I was paying 30 or 60 bucks for a broken game that had, you know, horrible ass frame rate issues, screen tearings, you know, amongst other things. And then on the PC side, I'm hearing how people could turn the settings down and shit like that and make bushes disappear. And you can see people think they hiding somewhere and they actually wide open, you know, and shit like that. No, just. He said they didn't abandon Titanfall in a way. They found a way to scavenge it, and despite not having Titans, it's fun. Looks like Black Ops gameplay. Otherwise, you know, to me, the weapons sound a lot like Titanfall when you're not in the mechs. You know, when you're running around, with a gun, it sounds a lot like the guns. I think it's got a little bit of Titanfall mechanics in it when you're not in the mech. Now, what if EA was to build on that? What if EA was to go ahead and go ahead and do a full-blown Titanfall game that's free to play with the mechs? So I think Apex Legends put EA in a good spot right now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think if EA continues to make free-to-play games, people ain't going to give a fuck about the microtransactions. So, but let me get back to my last subject that I was talking about. I went into Best Buy because I was out running around paying bills yesterday. So I went into Best Buy, and a guy was on hand, letting people try out the Oculus Rift. And so I wasn't gonna. At first, I was like, nah. And then, you know what? I said, yeah, let me go ahead and try Oculus because I never tried it before. I tried Vive before, and I had the PlayStation VR. I'm planning on buying a gaming PC probably next month. And I have to make a decision. My biggest reason, I don't need a gaming PC. I really don't. I'm more or less just buying it just to say I got it. The only person that's going to get any 6 song for the bag is Fire. All right. I have to, I have to go back and catch the beginning of it so I can hear that song. But as I said, I've tried Vive before. I have PlayStation VR. I don't need a gaming PC. I'm just doing it to complete my gaming experience. My son definitely wants me to get a gaming PC because he wants to be able to play Gears of War 4, 4K 60 frames per second. But I wanted to see, as far as resolution and clarity goes, I had said that the Vive was noticeably cleaner than the PSVR, but it wasn't game changing. It wasn't enough to make me say that I'm going to drop the PSVR and go get a Vive. So I needed to try the Oculus so I could see the difference in the three. And so I tried this game called Robo Assault. And it was a wave shooter. And the shit was just barely cleaner than the PSVR. So it showed me that I really don't need this shit, but I'm buying it, I'm buying the gaming PC for me and my son. But if it come down to it, I really don't need Oculus or Vive. But the guy did tell me that he said that, Oculus is more for, if you want the full room experience, he said that's pretty much Vive. If you plan on standing in one place, then, Oculus is a little bit better. plus Vive costs $150 more than Oculus. So I don't know. So I got all my tax papers back, and I'm getting ready to file them. You know, when I find out how much that I'm going to get back, because I claim zero on my taxes, so I end up paying a shitload of taxes into the system, and I only get $1,000 back. You know, I end up paying about $3,000-4,000 into the system every year, and I only get about 1,000 back. So basically, the reason why I was waiting for my tax situation is so I can use the tax money to pay off my Target card and pay off my Walmart card, and then that'll pretty much bring everything back down to zero, and then I can go ahead and put a gaming PC on my Best Buy card, which, you know, I can walk in there and buy one right now because I got money tucked away too. So, but that's just me getting all my ducks in a row. So I don't know, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and get the gaming PC. I might get it as early as next weekend, and I don't know. You know, I could get Oculus the week after. But as far as comfort goes, the PlayStation VR is much comfortable. It is way more comfortable than both Oculus and Vive. But as far as which headset I'm going to get, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research and find out which one has the better exclusives. So, you know, so that's where I'm sitting on that situation. You know, I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll be joining this so-called PC master race here, you know, probably in a couple of weeks. And in all likelihood, I'm probably just going to buy a pre-built computer because I just don't want to deal with the shit of trying to build one. I don't want to deal with this shit, you know, where me buying pieces from every direction, and then the shit don't run right, and then I got to go through all this troubleshooting shit. I'm just kind of looking to buy a pre-built computer, plug the shit up, plug the Oculus into it, and go. And that's that. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. It's been about an hour. I really didn't have many topics to talk about because I didn't do a very good job of keeping up on the news this week. So I definitely tried to touch on what I thought was, you know, the big news this past week. So I'm actually gonna give a shout out to EA and wish them success with Apex Legends, and hope that this game continues to do well so it can set a precedent and you know, make these other developers fall in line and continue to, you know, put out free to play games, because I think if they do something like that, everybody wins. Okay, Spartan God, adios. We'll see you guys on 6 streams in a few minutes. So with that being said, you know, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Definitely appreciate it. As usual, my guards will give you all care packages as you head back to your shuttles and back to your homes, or in this case, over to 6 streams. With that being said, give it a like. And I want to thank everybody for coming to Wakanda. And I will see you guys shortly over on 6 stream. All right. Take it easy, y'all.